This is Bill McGarvey here for CathNewsUSA, talking to Father Jim Martin about his new book, Between Heaven and Mirth: Why Joy, Humor, and Laughter are at the heart of the spiritual life. Welcome, Father Jim. How are you?
Thanks, Bill. Good to be with you.
Is there one specific moment or instance that sort of gave you the idea that you needed to write a book about humor in the spiritual life? Anything in particular that sort of set you off on this path?
Well, I would say two things. First of all, I've been giving a lot of talks in the past few years on the saints, because I'd done this book, My Life with the Saints. And it dawned on me, or it seemed to me, that whenever I spoke about the saints, what audiences most liked to hear about were stories about the humor of the saints, how the saints were funny, how the saints told jokes, how the saints had a lot of self-deprecatory humor, and how the saints led joyful lives and even laughed. And I think that was a real shock for a lot of people, and it was almost as if people were hungering for this desire for more joy in their spiritual lives, and also in a mission, a kind of invitation to sort of live joyful Christian lives. As well, I've run into my share of, shall we say, professionally religious people who are, in a word, pretty grim, and sort of act as if they had the weight of the world on their shoulders. And so I think those two things, the kind of desire and the need that I felt among the crowds that I spoke to, but also my own personal experience of running into people who were kind of, as the expression goes, the frozen chosen.
Well, you didn't grow up. You've said before to me that you didn't grow up in a particularly churchy way. So you came to your faith in some ways, or you came to your religious life a little bit sort of without a lot of prejudices about what it is. Is this something that you learned when you got, because I think you told me at one point you were involved in a humor magazine in college, et cetera, et cetera. So is this something that kind of surprised you about the religious life?
That's a good question. I think the longer I've been in it, the more it's kind of dawned on me. I worked for a GE for 6 years, and I found a lot of seriousness in the corporate world, and in a sense that kind of made sense to me. It's all about working hard and the bottom line. But when I started to work for an organization, whose main message is that Christ is risen, the church, I was a little surprised that there are so many people who seem really dour, that goes from the left to the right and in the middle in the church. I mean, you find people of all sort of theological stripes that are really serious and that act as if they're the Messiah and they need to do everything, and the weight of the world is on their shoulders. And I thought it seemed a little bit at odds with the Christian message of real joy in life. So it did strike me, the longer that I've been a Jesuit, that struck me as kind of odd.